is very heavily defended.
there's the rocket ship. And that means it is the contributor appreciation.
Oh, I'm not on camera.
What? Come on.
Contributor appreciation special.
New Year special. Well,
New Year's Eve special.
New Year's Eve special. We have, 15 minutes?
We have 24
14
minutes.
Oh, okay, yeah. We have 24 minutes till the ball drops. Let's do this. Let me pull up a ball. Aside.
Pulling your balls out, baby.
Aside from the
not that kind of special.
Glossy, hairless ones that I have.
What?
And we'll be right back. Welcome to the Soapbox. My name is Jamarl Thomas. This is my lovely wife, Aisha Hollingsworth Thomas. Welcome to the New Year's Eve celebration show. This is going to be the bringing in the New Year's Eve show. I don't remember if we did this last year. I don't think we did.
We definitely did not.
Yeah, we didn't do this last year. So this is the first annual. First of its kind.
Don't say annual. That kind of makes us commit to 2020.
I'm okay with that.
I don't know if I'm going to be wanting to do that in 2020. I don't know where I'll be.
It's called responsibility, dog.
You're right. And I'm not trying to add any more to my plate.
You gotta accept it. Yeah, this is the New Year's Eve special. So I am going to try to commit to doing these every year. It's in fact, do or do not do. There is no try. And that's where I'm at. There is no try. I will be doing these every year.
Do not.
If I have an ounce of blood in this body and Bernie Sanders is president, because remember, Sanders doesn't win the primary, I'm doing UFO videos. I quit. I'm on camera crying and quitting. Like, just raging out on camera.
So, if you have a UFO channel, will you still do New Year's Eve?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It'll just be a UFO New Year's Eve of all the shit that took place during the year.
I don't know if I'll be here for that one.
Yeah. You might enjoy it. Oh, you don't want to be seen with me. You don't want to be seen with me.
If I can dress up.
I mean, if you can put something on your face, like a hijab or something, so you can't be, so people can't see you.
Terrible.
My
First of all,
point is,
people can still see you when you wear that, so that was an asinine comment. But I would like to dress up like an alien.
That's right. The hijab is the head thing. I'm thinking of the face thing. I guess my point is, you just don't want to be seen with me if I have a channel that goes deep into that. Here's the thing, though. I would never go obscenely deep. Like, I would still have to be relevant. Like, if
like tinfoil hats.
Yeah, my argument. I don't need to go in the the far corner of the thing. I don't have to. The information is out there where you can just make a credible argument for the information that's there. And I would never want to be undermined on that because I want to be able to back up the comments that I make. Meaning, I don't want to have a channel where I'm just like off a rocker, like an Alex Jones channel.
I understand it.
Yeah. So you wouldn't have to be ashamed of me in that
I didn't
way.
say that I was going to be ashamed. That was something you pulled from your ass. Me wanting to dress up is not because I'm ashamed of you doing a UFO channel.
Why you want to dress up?
Because I want to dress up like an alien. I think I asked last week.
You got the head thing on?
What head thing?
The head thing. Are you going to be wearing the big head thing?
Like a fake alien head?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't want people to see who you are. Implicit in that. All I'm saying is...
That's part of an alien costume. The head has to look different.
Is it an alien head? It would be a
stupid alien costume if from the neck down I was an alien. And we're on freaking YouTube.
You realize this stuff is relatively random based on environmental circumstances.
I can paint my face.
And on Star Trek, they have aliens with just a dot here.
I don't want to be that kind of alien. I want to be like a green-eyed, thin man alien.
It's like, well, this guy's clearly an alien species. He has a dot right there. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah.
Okay,
and he has green blood. It's like, well, I can't see the blood.
We can make aliens look more alien.
More like, what? Let me ask you this. What does an alien look like? Or what should an alien look like?
Very different from me.
Like what?
Like, I have to lose some weight to be a thin man alien. But,
like, how do you know they aren't
different color? They might look
planets?
The same. There might be Amazon planets, but
I'm talking about, you know what I mean, like Amazon women out there with spears and whatnot. I'm just saying, how do you know?
I don't know, duh. But for me, I want to dress up like a more typical,
a classical gray alien.
Yeah, either gray. I think I would like to be green.
If an
And
alien,
it doesn't have to be like big head, big eye alien.
If you met a
I think
person-
I could make my face up and do something
if you met a person in Starbucks,
and get like some
and he
prosthetic
said,
corn
he says, look,
lumps on my face.
don't freak out, but I'm an alien. Now, he looks exactly like you, but he is breathlessly trying to convince you that he's not from this planet. Now, what does he need to say to you?
I don't know if he can
make you believe
say anything. He would need to show me something that I'd never seen before.
Like what?
Like if he reached out with his third arm that came out, I'd be like,
Well, here's the catch, though. The moment that he exposes anything like that, your world is shattered. Meaning, it's one thing for him to come to you as a human being saying, look, don't freak out. I'm an alien. And you wouldn't freak out. You'd be like, this guy's lost his fucking mind. Now, you might freak out in that sense, like, okay, this guy's losing it. But the moment that he exposes anything, whether you see a ship, whether you see some kind of beam, whether you see anything, it will crack what you know as normality, and it will
sounds
freak
like
you
you're
out.
setting the stage of that's his plan. Like
To freak you
I'm
out.
in a coffee shop and someone's trying to convince me
He's
they're
trying
an
not to
alien.
freak you out, though.
Well, he could do something like maybe like put his hand on the table and like show me like a sixth finger and then like put his sixth finger
What if
back.
he doesn't have 6 fingers?
I'm just saying like a small thing that's not like drastic, like he rips off his human skin and shows me his alien body underneath. Like maybe not something traumatizing.
It's like you turn around, you get just ripped through the room.
Yeah, I don't.
What if he says, look, he says, what I can do is I can rip you from your body to my spaceship. Now, that will definitively
Can
give
you use another word besides rip? Because that sounds aggressive.
beam you.
Okay.
Now, your
Okay,
body will
think of
still
Star
be
Trek.
there. But, you know, you're going to be...
So what is my
elsewhere.
body going to be doing because we're in a coffee shop? Am I going to look weird?
Doesn't matter.
Like in a trance?
I mean, no
don't
time
wanna
might be
get arrested.
received. No time might have passed at all. I mean, when you're talking about mental states, those things can, you can have a few seconds pass and it feels like a while.
I think I'd be
Would
okay
you-
if he
would you
said
say-
he'd beam me up.
You'd go for it.
I mean, like-
guy is picking you up at a bar and the only thing he has to
Here
tell
we
you is
go.
I'm an alien?
Here we go.
That's all it takes? That's all
Here
it
we
takes. That's good to know, Miss Thomas.
All right. We're going to go to...
Good to know. I'm an alien,
Secret
really?
chat from Amy Matura. Amy, thank you.
What do I need
Happy
to do
New
to show
Year
you?
Eve.
Well,
Amy
you need to show me a
said,
ship. Okay, come with me.
Be quiet.
Follow me.
I said show me like a finger or something.
He doesn't have a 6 finger. He doesn't have a 6 finger.
Or he
might
can
have a
like
six
talk to
finger.
me through my mind or something.
How
Like
do you know
talk
he
to
has
me
that capability?
telepathy.
He
I
might
don't
say,
know.
look, I never got good at that.
Okay, well, I need you to show me something definitive. You just tell
And
me.
he says, well, follow me out to my ship.
I'm uncomfortable with that. You said beam me and my body would still be here. And I'd be like, yeah, okay, let me see that shit happen because I'm going to stay in my chair and you're saying that you're going to do something to transport me somewhere else.
What if it's just, all right, just walk outside with me. My ship is outside.
I would
People
walk
can't see it.
outside.
You'd walk outside with
I'd
the
walk
person.
outside.
Okay.
I'm pretty tough. I mean, like, if it was just a person trying to, like, get me,
I'm pretty
I could
tough.
fuck some shit up.
This is the person screaming, yelling when the guy was harassing her in Paris.
That's not what happened. And don't be dramatic, because that's not what happened.
What happened?
That's not what happened.
You were very tough that day.
Thanks, babe.
Just saying.
Thanks.
You know what I'm saying? You just said you're a strange guy. He'd pick you up and take you outside. You don't know what that guy's gonna do. The guy tells you he's an alien and that's enough for you. I don't need a finger, maybe a piece of technology or something. How did you get here?
That I said, show me something.
You said a finger.
I don't know because I don't know what an alien is gonna
But he might
have to
a
show
finger. He
me.
might have a finger.
I don't know what he's gonna have to show me. I'm just saying it has to be something definitive that I can see. Jesus.
I'm just saying that makes me uncomfortable that you'll be willing to walk out like that.
Okay, well, Amy Matura, thank you, Amy, for our super chat. Amy says she donated to AOC and Bernie tonight, and now Jamal for his work.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, they're getting down to the finals. Sanders, at this point, supposedly is in the lead. I mean, he was setting the benchmark. He's trying to get like I think. Well, Warren declined greatly. Biden regained because Biden at one point had like $19 million. He's front runner. That's
I can't give
horrible.
Bernie any more money. I don't.
It hurts, right? Because he's like, can
Bernie
you give me
makes-
$60?
Yeah,
Can you give me
no
$60?
Bernie.
It's like, yeah,
no Bernard.
Yeah, dude, no. You have my $5 every month.
Yeah.
But
Merced Callie, thank you, says Merced Callie in the house.
there are things that happen
2020.
that make me want to give him at a particular time.
Cha-Cha Warrior said that's kidnapping if I went with the alien.
It is kidnapping, kind of.
If I went with him
Well,
willingly.
if you went with him willingly, that's not really kidnapping. That's just, you going with another man that you believe was or gave credence to being an alien. When I was, I think I was in Dahab. I was by myself on this one. This was in Egypt. And I remember going to one of the computer places because I was trying to contact back home. And the owner of the place...
Watching porn.
One kid was watching porn. So that's a little weird. Like when somebody's in public just kind of watching porn. And it's like...
Are they reacting to watching porn?
Well, see, that's the catch, right? To me, watching porn is operative. It's not visual. Like it's not just something that you just sit back and
it's not like you watch TV
chilling.
and nothing else is reacting.
Right.
Ideally, I think.
That's the weird... So I was like, God, that's weird. But I thought... A kid is a kid is a kid.
Wait, because we're veering all over the freaking place tonight. I told you that I saw... Do not say this person's name because you have a tendency to be like, oh yeah, you told me Bob did this. Don't say this person's name because I think I told you this. But remember I told you that I was at work one day and I went by my friend's desk and she was watching porn in the middle of the day and I was like, what the fuck? Like... You got shit else. First of all, you don't have shit else to do. Second of all, like...
It's like... What
why?
Are you gonna do with that?
You're sitting at your cubicle.
It's like, what are you gonna do with that? Is it just
you just frustrating yourself?
I mean, maybe she had she had to get some rocks off.
But you're at a desk.
But maybe she can get them off like Kegel muscles.
No. You remember? I read this article. You know why that creeps me out? Because I read an article one time where they said like statistically, like they polled people about how many people have masturbated while they're at work, and it was high.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And I was like, where is this happening?
It's a little high. Well, I mean, look, if it was one of those things where they would get caught, it would be strange. I mean, like people are probably very careful when they are masturbating. I've known people who went out to their car. I've known people who went out to their car.
Is it you, babe?
Oh, fuck no. No, I didn't do that. It was a female. She,
I just feel like
I'm not going to name names.
Yeah, don't tell people.
No, I'm not going to name names. But I guess my point is, it's more common than I think people realize.
When I saw the number, I was like, when?
At lunch, sometimes people get thirsty when they're at work with their co-workers. Sometimes people get a little
work
thirsty
romance or something.
I don't know. I don't blame them. None of it matters. I mean, ultimately, they're human beings.
I just don't want to walk over to your cubicle and you're watching porn.
That's gross. I think that's kind of gross. Only because when you're watching porn, at least to me, it's very specific. It's not, again...
Okay, we're not getting on to that. We have some super chat.
Oh,
wait, you were talking about being in Egypt. Can we go back to the original topic?
So, the guy, talking about being kidnapped.
Contribute appreciation.
When you're traveling and you're solo traveling, at least I was.
You got kidnapped.
You're very careful.
Oh, right.
You're very careful. Like, you don't have two men on the board. There's not somebody else that helps you with your map. There's not somebody else that helps you when you get lost. It's just you.
I know, babe. Remember that one time I did it?
You did what? Get lost?
No, I was by myself traveling.
Oh, yeah, of course. You're an adult. You're an incapable adult in that. She is. I don't think I would have married her if she wasn't. I think I would have a hard time with somebody who wasn't either capable or wasn't strong enough to allow me to have my space in regards to the room that I take up. So I don't...
It's a lot of room.
I don't think it's that much room.
It's fucking
I don't think it's that much room. But
sometimes I'm like, am I still here?
it's not that bad.
Hurry up! You talk about kidnapping.
I don't mean room in that sense. I mean room in the sense of
your personality.
Personality-wise, like force of will, not a withering dove of sorts. I wouldn't.
Okay, finish your train of thought.
Tolerate. But so you're in Egypt. You're by yourself. When you're solo traveling, you have to be careful.
Right.
Now, my temper at times, fractured. And to some degree, that's always weird because you have people who are in a different culture. Their culture is a little bit different than yours. Sometimes the cues that you guys are going by, the thing that pissed you off, they don't quite get why you're pissed off. That type of stuff happens. The times that I've lost my temper on somebody. But this was different. This guy was nice as can be, or at the very least, he seemed to be nice. And I was talking to my mom on the video thing, and he's like, is that your mom? I was like, yeah. He says, hello, Mrs., and he's, we're talking back and forth. And it's like 1, 2 in the morning. I got a bus to catch that morning because I got a train to catch. We're going to Israel. And as we were walking out, him and I are just pitch black, just talking. and we get to this place where it's pitch black, like a black hole. Like you can barely see that there's a house there. It's that black. And I can hear dogs barking, and we've been talking for like 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours. And he
like,
says,
home.
would you like to come in? And I was like, yeah, no, I don't think so. He says, oh, you Americans are so paranoid or something. And I'm like, dude, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean
I'm wrong.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you're
First of
wrong.
all.
And just
Survival.
what you lose in case you're wrong. Like,
Yeah.
I might think like 99.1% that this guy is awesome. And that 0.9%, if I'm wrong on that, this is the Batman Superman argument. That 1% is too much. If Superman goes rogue, the world is fucked. That's kind of where I am. So I was like, yeah, I mean, no, dude, I really do have to catch my train. The sun is about to come up, And he's like, come on, I mean, it's not that big deal, And he's like inviting me in. Now, the catch is, in some of the Arabic cultures, that's normal. That's normal. And I learned that, I think it was in Jordan, where it was like 2 in the morning, and the guy was like, hey, would you like to come up for some cheese and crackers? It's like, dude, it's 2 in the morning. I've been traveling for like 20-something hours. But nice as can be at times, very welcoming. And so our social cues are a little bit different in this because we don't act that way. My grandmother does. I mean, or my mom does. If you come to the house, hey, let's get something to eat. Would you like so sit down? That's the
And
way
you're
they
like
think about
that
it.
too.
I am like that, but this is to a stranger. Like I don't.
On our first date, you invited me to your mom's and grandmother's house for Christmas dinner.
Well, I thought you were lonely. One, you and I were.
It was a fucking pity invite.
No, it wasn't a pity invite.
All these years.
No, it wasn't a pity invite. I thought you were lonely. I didn't think you were going to
invite.
be around with your family. I was interested in you. That was the second point. And I had felt like I had known you for much longer than I had known you. And so it was like all of those things were kind of working in tandem.
It was a pity invite.
No, it wasn't a pity invite.
Okay, come on, let's go to Super Chat.
I don't think I would have. I think you know me well enough.
I think it was because we were having a conversation. I mean, I'm joking, but we were having a conversation. You're like, "What are you doing for Christmas?" Like, yeah, nothing. He's like, "What? You gotta come to my house."
If you would have told me my mom is coming to town or something like that, then maybe not. I would have invited. But it had nothing to do with the pity invite. It had, honestly, you must understand.
Babe, I'm joking. Relax.
When you and I met,
let's go to the next one.
I don't want you to have those kind of
No.
things that might be floating in your head. That 0.1% of doubt. I don't want that. I want absolute infinite confidence on this.
Okay,
That's
go
why
ahead.
I nail it down.
Okay, go ahead.
It felt like I had known you for a very long time.
Okay.
Even though I had only just met you. And because I had felt like I had known you for a very long time, I figured you would fit in extremely well with the women in my family, which that was a correct assumption. My assumptions seemed to be pretty spot on. And I also thought, well, she's not going to be with her family. I'm interested in her. I'm trying to get those draws. And I think she'd get along with my family really well. No, I thought you'd just get along with my family really well. And I was vibing you. So I thought, invite.
Okay, let's go to Super Chats.
Yeah, she may or may not accept.
All right, so Brad. Oh, man, Brad. I don't know mispronounce your last name, but that's probably going to go down.
Let me see.
Brad McSchmickleton. That's a fake name.
You nailed that.
McSchmickleton. That's a fake name.
Nailed
it sounds
it.
like a Simpson thing.
I think
like
you nailed it. I think you nailed it.
Brad wants to know, he's been wondering for a while, do you guys like any video games?
Yes.
We played Civilization.
Played Civilization till the wheels fell off. Beyond Civ with the updates. Without the updates, Beyond Civ sucks. But Beyond Civilization with the updates, it is badass.
What's the game that we played, the alien one?
Beyond Civ.
No.
That's what it says. That's the name of it. Beyond Civilization. What do you mean? Alien?
On the Xbox.
Oh! What is it? Oh, fuck. That game is... I played that thing to the wheels
What
fell
is
off.
the name of the game, babe? Come on.
XCOM.
Yes.
Yeah.
We played XCOM a lot.
XCOM
XCOM
is
was
easily
good.
one of my favorite games. Between XCOM, Civ, and chess. That's where those things rank. XCOM, the world is being taken over. The world is being taken over. Now, you're part of an elite
Literally.
special group that is supposed to defend the world. Now, the catch is, when I'm playing this game, I think to myself, is the world really being taken over? Like,
Oh, you always do like the
because
questioning thing, like what's really happening here?
what's really happening here?
Maybe they're like really trying to give us technology and like
Well,
you're
at the
part of
point
a
where-
rebel gang and you don't
at the
know
point
it.
where they're like killing people in the streets, it's kind of clear.
It's like,
that clarifies it
it's
all.
like he just implanted babies into that man.
Right.
I don't think
Right.
they mean well.
Right.
Okay, Lisa Mojica.
But wait. There's a larger
We have
question.
5 minutes to the countdown. Like,
Just
what is our goal
one larger
here?
question. One larger question. Why do we care so much about that?
About what?
Now, if an alien civilization, so you have sometimes white people say they're destroying our race. Have you heard that argument? It's like, if people have sex with too many, they're gonna dilute our population, and we're gonna.
I've heard black people say that too.
Why do we care? What does it matter?
I don't care, so I can't really answer that question accurately.
Now,
I think like a certain level.
Would you be
of
more comfortable dwindling
purity
down to 2% in the country? Yeah, feels weird, right? Yeah. I mean, it's that. Now, it's not so much that like, white people are going to dwindle to 2% of the country. It's not that. But it's this question of why do we care so much? Like, and I think it boils down to the tribe stuff. It's the more people you have in a particular society, ideally, you would think the more political clout you have in that society. Though, I think that's where the thought comes in. If people, though, consider themselves to some degree equal, it wouldn't matter one iota. And yet, to some degree, I think it still would. It's the strangest thing. It's culture. Like, it's this... when people try to make this thing of, like, post-race, and they make this argument of we should just be kumbaya, and we should subjugate issues of race, and that type of stuff. Well, it's this, right? I mean, this is the thing it's going to hit its head on. To some degree, we still orient ourselves as tribes. Now, my biggest argument, and the reason why I push this argument at class, is because I think class is the way to get away from that. It's a new focal point. But ultimately, this is literally history reaching out and grabbing you. You can't get away from it. It's this weird thing that we get stuck with in our heads when we think about our world. Now, think about that from the standpoint of going from a positive, meaning 70%, to, let's say, a minority, majority nation. Meaning all of the other races in the country at this point become the larger race. And for the longest time, as a white person, you've been able to have the lay of the land.
Okay, wait a minute.
It's differential advantage.
Okay, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Stop.
Nobody likes
wait a minute.
Differential advantage.
We have 2 minutes until some kind of ball needs to drop.
All right, let's get the ball drop.
You need to do that.
Find a ball
That's
drop.
the whole reason I came here, and then I'm
checks.
leaving after that.
What?
We read Brad McSmickleton. I nailed that. Victor Surge, I'm going to read this out loud because this is disturbing and I want this on the record in case they find some shit in his closet next week. Victor Surge says, I just rubbed lotion on my Tulsi doll that I keep in a cage.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
With a coat of skin.
What?
Somebody put some eyes on Victor Surge.
What? That's funny.
Lisa
That's
Mojica
funny.
says, love you guys. Thank you, Lisa. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everybody.
All right, yeah, the ball's about to drop.
Somebody said they fell asleep. That's what I was very asleep like an hour ago. So probably.
Well, you actually were asleep an hour ago.
That's what I just said. I
Like,
just
literally.
said that. Cool Blue 71. Thank you for the super chat. Cool Blue says, Happy New Year to the Thomases and everyone else. Happy New Year, Cool Blue. Somebody said they want to be a gamer.
I would imagine it would be badass, right?
There's people who, of course, it's not midnight everywhere. Come on, what are you doing? You have one job.
I'm trying to pull it out.
It's midnight.
It's not midnight.
It's midnight.
Oh, fuck.
We're here for one reason.
Wait. Oh.
3, 2, 1.
Right here.
Happy New Year! Oh, they got 6 minutes on there. Hurry up!
6 minutes!
Put some music. I can't hear anything. 3, 2, 1.
What?
Oh, wait. We're supposed to kiss me. Don't show it on the camera.
Give it to me, baby.
I'm not kissing on camera. Don't click it. Stop! You went up. I told you don't put the video kill
It's gonna
him.
say that toxic masculinity.
Happy New Year.
Aw, Happy New Year.
Happy 2020.
Look at that. That's amazing. Look at all those people.
I always wanted to go to New York City
Me
and
too.
see the ball drop, but no one would ever go with me because it's super cold. Oh, they're gonna kill your.
Yeah, they're gonna kill that. Oh, bastard. Let me make sure they didn't kill this already. They can be pretty brutal about that at times. So let's flip back to this verse. I forgot that sound is being played. The stream is still up.
JVL says, Happy New Decade, Progressive Soapbox.
Happy New Decade indeed, man. I hope you guys have a good decade.
I'm with you, Upstate. Upstate says, how about a meetup at Bernie's inauguration?
Fucking A. I'm down for that. I'm down for that.
Oh,
Speaking
Princess
of
Queen, I'm sorry.
Bernie's inauguration, for the longest time, lefties have been hit with this thing of you can only go but so far. This incrementalism thing for the longest time, for the entire time of, I think, my life, and if it's my life, definitely your life, the Democratic Party has been under this kind of Clinton-esque. I was around with Jimmy Carter, but I was like an infant. I was a child. But Bill Clinton was the time where I actually remember the presidency up until a certain point.
Right.
The best that you can do is incremental stuff. And the greatest thing in the world is if you move to the center. You lie flagrantly in the primary and they move to the center. It's expected. It's okay. And they would say that that's okay. They would have no issue with that at all. Now, understand, Al Gore loses. John Kerry loses. The person who ends up winning is Barack Obama. He runs like a lefty, screaming to the hilt. And whatever you want to think, I mean, compared to Clinton, he did pass Obamacare. Yes, it was a right-wing healthcare plan, but Clinton was trying to literally privatize Social Security. So, to put it in perspective. Now, that's not necessarily say the Obama era was a good era, but it's trying to make the point of the differences between the two presidencies in the way that Obama projected himself versus the way the other Democrats ran, moderates, right in line with typical dogma, and failed. Al Gore failed to George Bush. George Bush could barely count, and yet he failed to George Bush. John Kerry failed also to George Bush. Now, it's difficult to take down a sitting president, so fair enough. My only point is this. That point of view and being hit with that for so long, it's like an indoctrination. It gets you in the way that you think. It doesn't even necessarily tell you what to think, more so how to think about politics. And the catch here is that thinking is wrong. That's a theory of the case.
Okay.
It's not an absolute. This is one of those things where rationality is not always rational. Now, the catch here is rationality is always rational, but rationality is always tethered to something. Meaning it's not an absolute. Robert McNamara had this saying in his Vietnam thing when he said rationality is not always rational. You need something else in order to make your decisions. And I thought, is that true? Is that true? If that's true, we're fucked. But that's not true. McNamara gets that wrong. The catch here is rationality is not an absolute. McNamara is infatuated with his own intelligence. He's thinking that his rational pursuit of the world, for the most part, was an absolute. He took absolutely rational positions, missing the point that rationality is to a goalpost. He made decisions. Those decisions had horrible consequences. It wasn't necessarily that all of your decisions were rational. It just means that what you consider to be rational was just wrong. And that's kind of the same in my point that I'm making here. The Democratic Party, for the most part, in a media organization, these kind of neoliberal groups deify cash. They need it. It's the lifeblood of our politics. One law after another that was passed, or you could say ruling was passed that made that so. And from the media, who makes tens of billions of dollars, these talking heads, to represent various media arms, what perspective of the world do you think they're going to have outside of somebody who's fabulously wealthy and who rubs elbows with the political class? Same thing with the political class. Ultimately, though, both of these people are paid by the same group, meaning this kind of oligarch class. My point is this. It is massively out of self-interest that...
Princess Queen said Al Gore won the 2000 election, though.
No, he didn't. Al Gore lost.
So technically, he won.
Al Gore lost. Technically, George Bush was our president. Just saying. Whether he was cheated or not, Al Gore lost. I mean, it's not that if they did a recount, I think Gore would have lost. Gore might have won the recount.
She would have said, nope, he won.
Then why was Bush our president?
What you guys talking about?
Explain why Bush was our president. They need to explain that to me. Why was George Bush our president then, if Al Gore won? In the record books, it has George Bush. The person who took the presidency was George Bush. The person who bombed Iraq was George Bush. Al Gore was nowhere to be found in that process. He made a really good movie, but,
Supreme Court.
Yes, that's true.
Supreme Court.
But on the record books, it is George Bush.
All right,
Look, my basic point is this.
Okay.
Don't allow this thought process that has taken hold over the course of the party, that they continuously make this argument that you must be an incrementalist or that you must run to the center. This is a false argument. Your political times change, and those things change based according to your particular environment. The catch and the question to you is, do you believe that the time and the public, for the most part, the wind is at your sails for you to change this kind of viewpoint of the political part? If Sanders wins, it is existential for the Democratic Party. Those people aren't going to get those jobs. Those people are not going to get those phone backs. Money is not going to be a part of that process. All of that stuff, meaning from the media class and everything else, they're going to throw everything at the wall at Sanders in 2019. Whether Sanders is viable or not, even from the primary or for the presidency, is going to be determined within this year. Stiffen your lip. Batten down the hatches. Expect everything. And clearly you can't necessarily expect everything, but definitely expect a lot of shit to be thrown at you. Off the wall, just insane, rabid, hysterical. And it's not even, sometimes it's just to see what sticks. Just be aware and be prepared.
It's going to get ugly.
It is going to get nasty.
All right, really quick, in that same vein, thank you for the pep talk to the...
Yeah, it's a pep talk. It's
Bernie.
Look,
folks.
people are going to be saying bad things about you. Your objective in this is just to win. It's a contest, like any other contest. The rules, change accordingly if so, but the goal of this contest is to win. There are some lefties that fetishize losing. Have you met these people? Like, they would be like, it's we fought hard, but we continuously lost year after year after year. And I suppose if like you keep losing, the perpetual underdog. Fuck that. I don't want the third party that has no chance of winning thing. I want to win. And, you can make an argument that, environmental circumstances allow for opportunities that you can't necessarily run with the exact same way every time. Meaning, Sanders trying to run back when he first got in office might have been an impossible task. Sanders running now, where the rich has taken 95% of the income gains, that's different. This is after the banks have fucked people over. This is after homeowners went bust. This is after they shipped jobs overseas. This is after Trump gets in office and give it a grotesque tax cut. Under Obama, 95% of the wealth went to the top 1%. What is it going to look like after Trump? After this grotesque tax cut? After these regulations that he's pushing through? He is just dumping money into the hands of the rich. Now, you need somebody to make that argument. And you need somebody to be the focal point of that rage. It's legitimate rage, by the way. Now, I don't know what they're going to throw at Sanders. They're going to call him a socialist to the hilt? Yes. That's his weak point. The American public is not necessarily entirely on board for it, so fair enough. By the same token, if you run from it, they're going to chase you your whole life. And running from it is the worst thing you can do. You got to own that shit, and you got to defend that. That's your position. Everybody knows you're a socialist. Why are you going to hide from it?
Yeah.
It's like Obamacare. It's like, we know you voted for that. Why are you running? You own it or you don't. And by the way, people will prefer strength, even when wrong, over being weak and right.
Right.
It's just the way it is. I don't know what, something in us. It's like, the guy looks like an alpha male. He looks like, I don't like Boris Johnson, his policies. And yet, I like the guy. And it's like, the guy is a liar, he's a womanizer, all that stuff. But he has a bravado about him, and I think it's very specific. I'm going to get Brexit done. And every fucking body was against him. like he's losing from day one. He's losing from fucking day one. And he just says, I'm going to get Brexit done. We're going to get it done by October 31st. And everything will come up. He gets his deal. And people are like, holy shit, he got a deal. And now he's like, I'm going to ram it through. And every power that was against him in Parliament, even members of his own party tried to stop him. And he still pushed to get that shit done. And then when he finally gets to it, he says, we need to have an election right now. Now, Labor and other members are like, yeah, fuck that. Which, despite all of his losses, he's still fucking there. And then he says, I want to be judged by the fires of the public's will. And the other people said no. And he had to harass the other parties to give them an opportunity to even have an election. And when finally, Labor got dragged to the woodshed. I guess my point is, there's something to be said about people who are strong. And sometimes what people get, it's not the details of politics, they get the optics of politics.
Right.
Seeing you running away from something is worse.
I get it, the confidence.
Yeah.
All right, we have super chats.
Go for it.
Are you done on that point?
I'm done on that point. That's my pep talk for burners. Yes.
Okay, all right. Cool Blue 71, thank you, Cool Blue, for the super chat. Cool Blue says, you went all the way over there. Cool Blue says, perhaps the 2020s will become a decade.
I've turned over a new leaf of trying to be less caustic.
I am literally in the middle of reading a super chat.
I'm sorry, go for it. My bad.
Maybe you'll turn that leaf over next year. 2020 be the year that I get to finish my shit. All right, if perhaps the 2020s will become a decade of political revolution in the U.S., this is needed. The Democratic Party establishment, with propaganda and gaslighting, will try to prevent that. Tide of history suggests they will fail.
Let's talk about that for
2020s will become a decade of political revolution.
If Sanders could run away with this, so could Joe Biden. Now, what I mean by, and I don't think he'll run away with it, he'll hobble over the finish line, but if Sanders takes New Hampshire and Vermont, if he takes Iowa and New Hampshire, and then he does a really good placement in Nevada, and Warren wins none of those, then the question becomes, okay, what is Warren doing? Is she going to stay in the race? Now, how long does it take for it clarifying between Sanders and Biden for her to drop out, if she drops out at all? Now, I have two ideas on this. Either she's in this race to ding Sanders, which means she will stay in this race. I mean, and,
I don't see her dropping out,
and would not endorse him. I mean, both of those things would have to be true if that's the case. And even one of those things, meaning she could just stay in the race long enough to sap his win.
His vote,
yeah. Because fact is, if she wasn't in the race, Biden, Buttigieg, and Bloomberg would be eaten into each other's vote total. But she's in the race, so she eats into Sanders. God, I dislike her. I don't think people fully get, people who are not Sanders supporters, because it feels like, dude, he asked you to run in 2016. Not only did you not run, you did not support him.
Welcome to the team. I've been team anti-Beth for months.
Oh, yeah. It's just aggravating. So fucking aggravating. But nevertheless, it doesn't matter. He's going to have to... We knew that they were going to do everything in their power to stop him, including potentially flooding the thing. Meaning, this was expected that they might have potentially flooded the thing with candidates in order to force a second round vote. So, we'll see. I mean, he could still run away with it. This kind of 30%, 30%, 30%. And, but we'll see. But this will be the year. I mean, just think about it. At the end of this year, we would know, A, whether Sanders will be potentially be president from the primary, whether a Democrat wins the White House, or whether you're going to get another 4 years of Trump. And that's going to take place in less than, 9 months? No, 10 months? Less than 10 months?
All right, let's get into the reason why we're here.
Gut-wrenching.
It's way past my bedtime.
It is.
So,
Go
wait,
for it.
are we done?
Yeah. Go
You
ahead.
just want to finish?
No, go ahead.
Oh. Renee Tudyk, thank you. Also, welcome to Contributor Appreciation Show. If you are not familiar,
We never said
this
that.
is the show once a week that Jamal takes out to give you guys the content that you specifically ask for. We put a post on the Patreon platform and ask the patrons and everyone else, what do you want to hear for this week? And so we take that, and that is what fuels today's content.
Mostly, yeah.
If you are giving by any other means through Super Chat, Streamlabs, or PayPal, just go ahead and send us your topic suggestions. If you are not giving monetarily, still thank you for being here. Make sure that you are subscribed if you enjoy the content. If you like a video, give it a thumbs up, share it, and all that good stuff. Tell your mom and tell your friends. If you are not familiar with what the Patreon platform is, if you're watching a content creator and you say, I want to make sure that they can continue to create content, I'm going to support them via Patreon. So you make a monetary commitment. It could be as little as $1, and every dollar helps. And you say, I'm going to give this every month so that they can continue being awesome on YouTube, because YouTube does some funky stuff with their algorithms and taking down money and all types of other stuff. And so if you are able, consider being a patron on the Patreon platform. And if not, if you're not giving monetarily, just watch the videos. If you like them, give them a thumbs up. I have topic suggestions.
The other one, I don't want the other one to be a pep talk. One last thing to be a pep talk. And this will be quick, 2 minutes. In fact, 3 minutes at the most.
What the hell? 3 minutes?
Pep
You're
talk
gonna
for
monologue for 3 minutes? All right.
Pep talk for Sanders.
I got my time. I got my timer on.
You got your timer?
And
You're going to put me on a timer?
Hold on, let me pull it up for real, because I was fucking around, but now I'm going to get it up. Cause you
All
got
right,
10
4 minutes. 4 minutes in. 4 minutes. 4 minutes.
4 minutes?
4 minutes. At the most, 4 minutes.
Jesus Christ.
I just need to leave it.
Okay, all right.
Pep talk for Sanders. You can even put it on the thing.
Okay, I got my timer going.
Pep
Well,
talk
they
for
can't
Sanders.
see that. All right, and go.
Something needs to be said about Sanders, and it's something that doesn't often get said all that long. They can't see that. In 2016 when Sanders ran, it was him and Clinton, and ultimately some of his haters made the argument that the only reason Sanders did as well as he did because he was the anti-Clinton vote. He was just the guy, the vessel that people can dump their rage and anger into at Hillary Clinton. He was not necessarily a factor of himself. Well, there are 22 candidates that ran in this race, including 2 billionaires. And what do you know? There he is, number 2 in the nation. And in many of the first few states, he's either in striking distance, either in 1, in 2, or in striking distance of 1 and 2. Whatever they want to say about you, staying power seems to be one of the attributes of the Sanders coalition. These are the people, we are the people, I should say, that in case of an alien attack, we could be sheared off by a laser and would still drag our half body into the voting booth and in blood put our vote down on the tally just before dying on the flag. That's what we are. I would make the argument that this coalition is the conscience of this nation. Ultimately, you had a Democratic Party that had a philosophical responsibility, supposedly, to be the left in this country, and dropped the ball of that responsibility in order to blunt the blunt edges, meaning, who are you working for? If there's a party for the rich, shouldn't there be a party for the workers? And how can you have a party for the workers and the rich at the exact same time? The answer is you can't. You got to pick a pony. You got to choose your side. This utopian vision of neoliberalism, nonsense. Sanders is the re-ensoulment of the Democratic Party. He's the gypsies in Angel that found Angel pissed off at him and take her soul back. And Angel lays in the wilderness eating rats as penance. Sanders is this comeback. He's the thing that is trying the corrective of the Democratic Party itself. They're going to hate it. They're not going to like it. Nobody likes taking their medicine. It's a horrible particular taste to it. However, it's necessary. It is necessary. We are that corrective. Whatever they want to say about you, we are that corrective. And clearly, we remain. We remain.
You done?
They become aware of our presence.
Aren't you?
They become aware of our presence now at this point. Don't let that go to your head. They hate you. And I mean that from the standpoint of the Democratic Party. You don't believe me? Look at near attendance. Every Democrat that I know that is either part of the party or know people within the party would say they hate Bernie Sanders. I've had other liberals tell me they'd accept a Hillary Clinton, but they wouldn't accept Sanders, to which I said, I don't care. We're not of the same class, so I have no expectation of you supporting somebody who I may particularly support. My only point to you is you will have all sorts of weird smears thrown against you. You would call Russian bots. They would say there's a Putin effort in order to get Bernie Sanders in the White House. They would call you bad names. They would call you a socialist. They would say you can't get elected. They would say it's impossible to have Medicare for all. They would say there's no way you can get a Green New Deal. They would say the expansion of Social Security can't take place. They would say there is no way you can get people through school in this way. They would tell you all of those things. The reorganization of our society where 95% of the income does not go to the top 1%. Oh, that's impossible. You're a dreamer. That's their theory of the case, and this is ours. And the only thing that matters is us making that argument. All of the smears and everything else, those things will come about. We must remain vigilant and militant in pushing our particular theory of the case. Stay strong, burners. I'm finished.
You went over 4 minutes by 4 seconds. All right, we're going to go into the contributor appreciation topic.
7 seconds?
4 minutes and 7 seconds. You know, you watched a video one time that we did contributor appreciation. You were like, God, you didn't say anything. You just talked the whole time.
I did tell you in advance that I was going to have
No, but you did it twice.
Well, the first one, I'm going to scratch. That's going to get destroyed and never going to be seen.
Yeah, Sergey, he meant vigilant. He said vigilant, but
vigilant. Yeah.
Give him a pass.
I just said it.
There's
wrong.
a lot of words that came out in that 4 minutes. He messed one up. Give us a break. Trudy says, thank you for the super chat. Trudy says, Picard just in the first episode of the new Star Trek.
You know, Picard is going to have a new Picard. The series starts this month.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know that.
I think I'm going to cover that. I need to figure out how to cover that.
You're going to go to jail and your channel's going to get shut.
Well, right. I can't show it. That's the problem. I can't show it. Yeah. So one of our Patreon contributors wanted to know about, what do they call it? Persistence porn or something?
Okay, Noah R. Thank you, Noah, for the topic suggestion. Noah says, hey, Jamal, this is for the next country. I think it's what we call perseverant porn. He'd love to hear our opinions about it. But he says that it's, he gives an article that's titled, I'm just going to tell you the title of the articles and you get the gist of what he's talking about. He says, here's one that says, a teacher battling cancer ran out of sick days. School employees showered him with theirs. Now, and then there's another article, the topic, I'm just going to read you the topic and you get the gist of what he's trying to say. The next article topic is, child pays off lunch debt for over 120 classmates with a stand selling cider, cocoa, and cookies. So it's essentially these people who are in dire straits where I think we could argue that they shouldn't be, and they kind of persevere. Or society or the community kind of helps them persevere.
That's aggravating. That shouldn't happen.
I think that's a big thing.
That shouldn't happen. Like, I gotta be honest, man. This notion that somebody gets ill in our country, and because of the way we've organized our system where we want to rip and squeeze every dime possible out of the person, out of the individual, just turn them upside down. You got cancer. This is going to be a payday. Yes. I mean, that's so fucked up. I mean, that's massively immoral. When people say, are people going to lose their jobs in the health industry? The answer is yes, but it's an immoral industry. It's like saying, are people going to lose their jobs or lose their property with slavery? Yes, because it's an immoral industry. You shouldn't have to have, that business shouldn't exist in the first place. I experienced this, right? And it's so undignified to have to beg for something that your society should be smart enough to already provide. Like, we pay twice as much. I'm making this point, like, we pay twice as much for healthcare around the world, not to mention medications and whatnot. Just to put it in perspective, we're paying twice as much. I'm trying to make this point very plain. We are paying more for our healthcare system than anywhere else for less care. We die sooner. Our babies die more. We pay more. We pay in our costs for our lives, meaning our livelihoods, but we also pay out of our wallets. And so this notion that people have to beg people when they are already ill, that just seems so fucked up to me. My mom, and of all the things that I've gotten pissed off at my dad at, this is, I guess, the thing that I've never gotten past because it always bites into me. My mom was, when I got ill, I was 17. She was still working at the city at the time where I came down with kidney failure. Okay, like it was a cold. But she, being in and out the hospital for months, like on end, back to back to back to back. This notion of healthcare becomes almost the amount that you have to pay in copays when you have to continuously go over and over and over and over and over again. This notion of having healthcare, anybody that's ever really need to use that healthcare gets across how not meaningless, but how barely a band-aid that is. Like, just because you have one copay. Like, it's one thing when they talk about healthcare, they talk about it as if it's one copay. Well, what happens if it's something routine where you have to see a specialist and you have to see a doctor and you have to go to the emergency room, you have to go. Those copay, they build up so fast that the amount of debt just balloons, especially if there's anything severely wrong. My mom was going over and over and over and over again to the hospital because, again, I was in the hospital all the time during that time. And her job threatened to fire her, saying, you spending all this time at the hospital with your kid. You need to spend more time here. And so it's this thing of a parent trying to balance that. She ran out of sick days. Now, she was ill at the time I was in the hospital, but she held off on getting her surgery done until mine was done. Right. My dad could have given her days.
Also worked for the city. He had plenty of time.
Plenty of days. He had like 40 days. He said no. He said, we can't do that. And then he turned around and gave his friend sick time. Of all the things, if he had any questions about why I might have had issues with him, start there. I mean, there's a list of things, but start there. I guess my point is, it shouldn't be like that. You have a sick kid, and you can't see about your sick kid. Now, if that happened to my mom, she's just one person. And I don't think she's atypical from anybody else.
There's a lot of these situations. And like the other article, it's not healthcare. MK Ultra was asking, you said something like it's an immoral industry talking about healthcare.
It is.
He's not talking about healthcare and providing healthcare. He's talking about how economically fucked up the healthcare system is and the system of payment associated with healthcare. So he's not just talking about that. It bankrupts
people and denies care. And then you have a situation where people have to beg for assistance in order to just live. I mean, it's
outside of healthcare too. Like the other article talked about a little boy paying off school lunches. I mean, we see that all the time where they have literally gone to kids and taken their food away because they didn't have money.
Think about that.
They were behind on school lunches.
That's called a tax cut. That's called a tax cut. When you're like, yeah, let's get that tax cut. I want to get my $1.70 extra out of my paycheck. That's right. Go Trump. Missing the point that the overwhelming majority of that tax cut went to the top 1%. I think it was like 80% or something like that. Our taxes actually went up because he put trillion on our backs in order to make that tax cut work. So yeah, it's a fucked up immoral industry. I mean, that it should never happen. That's all I mean. Like, it shouldn't be the situation where they have a sick kid and yet they can't see but their sick kid. And somebody will say, well, they should quit their job. Then how are they going to pay for their sick kid? How are they going to have health care?
And back to the original, I think it was Noah who said this perseverance porn. I think it kind of puts you in this mindset where, oh my God, somebody's doing so terrible, but they brought themselves out of it.
Yeah, but it's nonsense.
You know what I mean? Like,
they find that one bright spot. It's funny. This is always the argument I have with my mom when she brings up some just random point, and I'm like, but that's like 1 out of a billion. And she's like, yeah. I was like, no, why are you bringing that up? Like, it's one of those things where it's not that the person was persevered. It's more so that person was desperate, and you just had other people with a sense of humanity that decided to help the person out.
In situations where our society
failed.
Yeah, should have done better and should have done something so that the kids don't have to worry about if they can have lunch today, and a man with cancer doesn't have to worry about his chemotherapy.
The catch with reality is there's no God. Nobody cares. Meaning the value of it is contextual. You and I would sit here and would say, there should be no billionaires. Those people should be able to get the care that they need. And there's somebody out there saying, no, those people need to pull themselves up by their own bootstraps. Like, meaning they don't care. I've talked to people who could give a shit about this. They would just be like, yeah, I mean, you got charities for that. Government shouldn't be involved in that. It's like, okay. Now, I look at that, though, and I say that's a fair game. That means that if I have other people who agree with me that come together and change that, then I don't give a shit what you think. That's where I am with it. So, because at that point, it's you fundamentally disagree that people should be taken care of in a sense where they are hungry, whether they don't have a home, or whether they are ill. The notion that there's a kid out there who's begging for lunch while he's going to school is just utterly atrocious. I'm sorry, that's a failure of society. And so, in the same way people can say, they have their own individualism, well, that's great. There's also this thing called collective self-interest. And collectively, as a class, we can come together and make decisions that are in our interest. That's called being a coalition and calling, the public either agrees or disagrees with us. I think they'll agree.
Yeah.
That shit shouldn't happen.
All right, we got a couple super chats.
Go for it.
All right, Cool Blue 71. Thank you for the super chat. Cool Blue says, Jamal, you introduced me to Garland Nixon. I looked into some of his videos. Just like you, his are also really good.
Garland's a cool guy, man.
He said, I appreciate this, so thank you.
Garland has the ability to argue without being disagreeable. You're arguing, but it doesn't feel confrontational.
You can have an opposite point of view, but it's not aggressive. It's not confrontational.
It doesn't come across as confrontational. I don't know how he does it.
Disagree amicably.
He's there with Lee, and they would have right-wing guests and everything else, and he's able to have those interviews and those conversations. And me, I'm there, and I'm like, this is outrageous. No, it's like usually.
And he'll be like, you mean to tell me?
No, I give you a perfect example. One of the guests, there's a right wing guy that they bring, and right wingers like to always say shit like Hillary Clinton's a left winger, and it always aggravates me because I'm like, dude, you're full of shit if you say that. The guy he says something to that effect, like Hillary Clinton was a lefty, and I said, no, I know what he said. He said Mitt Romney was a Democrat, and I said, you honestly think Mitt Romney was a Democrat?
There he goes.
Now, at this point, I want his answer. Because otherwise it's like, well, why did you say that? Why did you say that? And he's like, yeah, I'm just being hyperbole, new guy. Keep up. Now, at that point, you're my adversary. You're my adversary. You said something that was just ridiculous. And me calling out the fact that you said something ridiculous, you have some sharp barb. It's like, all right, fair enough. For the rest of that show, I was looking for every opportunity to take the piss out of him. And when he got around to Brexit, I wanted to be very clear that he didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. Now, I wouldn't have been adversarial that way had you not
The point is,
come at me like that.
Garland Nixon doesn't do that.
Garland doesn't do that. Garland is a better person
Jamal
than I am.
takes a more aggressive stance.
Garland doesn't do that.
To opposition, but that's fine.
It depends. It depends.
All right, next super chat.
On that one, I did. Yeah.
From Cannabis Sativa.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Says, cover charge for prescriptions. We need hashtag Medicare for all.
Yes.
Yes, we do. And in line with that, Majin Bull 17.
It's
There
a
used to be
Dragon
an
Ball
N.
fighter character.
Changed it. But says, I have no insurance. I haven't been to the doctor in years because of costs. Our situations are far from unique.
Yes.
This perseverance porn is nauseating.
Yes, it is.
I talk all the time from working in healthcare about seeing people who forego healthcare because of, or preventative care, especially because they can't afford it. Even if you have insurance, I'm skipping fucking doctor's appointments now, and I have health insurance, and it's like it costs too much money. Am I gonna die? No. All right. Well, let's just have sinuses and sniff forever and ever because I'm tired of getting referred and I don't want another one.
In Dallas, many of the people who go there don't have jobs. They just, it's for the most part, they just do treatments and they just do it from that point. Mm-hmm. My perspective of this one was different, though. I couldn't stand. It was a needs and access stuff. To me, it was this thing of you just suck it up because there are things that you want and you push as hard as you possibly can. Now, it took 10 years for me to even finish school and everything else, because for that 10 years I was in hospital. But in Dallas, many of the people don't work. Yeah. Some of them do. Many of them don't. I would go so far as to say the majority don't. That part of that is because many of them are in ages. But even some of the younger ones, they have a hard time managing the Dallas schedule and a job, and they take the Dallas schedule as being of paramount. I don't have that point of view. I don't think the Dallas schedule is paramount. I think life is of paramount. The Dallas schedule is secondary. It's the thing that allows you to live. And each person's medical situation is different. Sometimes they're missing limbs. Sometimes there's like other issues. What they do when they get bills, for the most part, is nothing. They just don't pay the bills. Now, because you can't. Like it's a situation
and there's
where
such an obscene amount. Like you get a bill for like $12.99. You're like, all right, sweet, I got $12, $100. Oh, okay, I'll pay that over a couple.
100,000.
Right, you get a hospital bill and you have several commas.
Yeah,
you have a comma.
Yeah,
and most people can't afford a comma.
Yeah,
I can pay $10 on it every month for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
and then my children can pick it up.
Yeah, I mean it's obscene, and it's one of those things. When I tell people that that there's no absolute on this, the reason why I say that, I didn't know I'd say it. The reason why I say it is because I want them to realize there's nothing forcing your world to be this way outside of the forces that are here. Meaning there is no rule set. You make your rules as a society, as a country, as a world. What you decide to be right or wrong, all that stuff. You make that up. There's no God level of right or God's level of wrong, in so much as you're talking about objective reality and something like math or something like that. Right. There is no such thing as law, just natural law. You choose. As long as your society is stable and consistent, that's all that matters. The catch here is we start off in a particular way where certain people essentially take land, take resources, and then say, all right, now we have laws. Let's substantiate our gains so nobody else, and let's move from here. And you have workers, you have women, you have all these other people having this mad scramble to get everything that they can from the standpoint of civil and economic rights. That's what you have. And you move incrementally from there. Every so often you have a revolution where things in this kind of massive upheaval, but for the most part, it's these minor changes. The catch here is because those changes are so minor, people get into their heads that this is just right. This is how it is. This is the way it's supposed to be. It's not. Even within the context of like 100 years, your society has drastically changed. At one point, there wasn't an airplane. There wasn't a television. At one point, you had children working. At one point, you had slaves. These were massive upheavals. Your world changes. The tenor of the Democratic Party changes. What used to be a Republican was drastically different than what it is today. I mean, shit, man. Some of those Republicans look like lefties compared to what they are today. So my point is, your change is constant. And even though it seems like it takes forever, even though it seems like nothing ever comes about or those type of things, I imagine the conversations between two slaves where the guy says, one day a black person's going to be president. And I was like, get the fuck out of here. It changes. It does. So, keep your head up.
All right. Thank you for that topic, Noah. Really quickly, because this is going to start another topic.
But it definitely needs
But
to
it
change.
looks like you may have shafted Trudy.
What do you
on
mean I
her
shafted
super
Trudy?
chat. She said there was a super chat yesterday that you promised
Yes.
that you were going to read.
Yes. Trudy's right.
And now
Trudy's
she's
right.
been forced to give another
Hold on,
super chat
Trudy's
to that end to remind you that you forgot.
I'm sorry, Trudy. I'm sorry.
She's talking about UBI
I'm
or
sorry.
ADOS.
I'm sorry. Oh, that's interesting. Well, if you're going to give a UBI, give it to everybody. Otherwise, you're going to create currents. Like, you're going to create competitions within the context of the various classes. I'm not against, by the way, the descendants of slaves. Look, that money is owed. That money is not being given. I hope that's clear. I say that to say that I have no issue with that in the sense of whether it's fair or not. My issue has to do with the political consequences of that. I think that'll be like the consequences will reverberate on an individual that tries to pull that off. And you thought Jeremy Corbyn blowing off Brexit was bad. You would get dinged for that. The only way around that is if you give as a UBI, but you give the UBI to everybody, but you give the descendants of slaves more or something like that. Otherwise, it becomes hard to pull off. I just don't know politically how that works. That's all. But I'm not against it. This is not me being against it. Let's see. All right, Picard, just in first episode of the new Star
Wait,
Trek.
I'm doing super chats.
No. I'm just looking for the one that Trudy did.
I already read it out loud. I just read it.
Ubi Fudos.
UBI for ADOS.
UBI for ADOS.
I literally just read that
High
out
burners.
loud.
Did you say the high burners?
No, because I haven't gotten there yet. I got a fucking system.
But
Get out, stay out of my,
this is
stay
not
in your lane.
This took place yesterday. You have access to super chats from yesterday?
Maybe not.
Oh. So what are you talking about?
These.
What are these?
The ones for today.
The ones for the day.
The
Oh.
ones for today.
Interesting. Me being a bigger person is not gonna rub this in or anything. Trudy, your chat from yesterday. I'm sorry for missing it, Trudy.
I just read it.
For OBI.
Yeah, she repeated
Or
it.
ADOS.
UBI, not UBI.
Question.
I just said UBI for ADOS.
High burners.
He's reading your super chat, Trudy.
I mean, you super chat, Trudy.
Cheese and rice. All right.
You owe me an apology.
My bad, dog. My bad.
No.
That's
I want to hear a traditional. You know what? I'm sorry.
You know what? My bad. I was wrong. My bad, dog.
All right, I'll take that. I'll accept that. I'm trying to be a bigger person. I'll accept that.
Excuse me. All right, we do have another super chat from Jay Wood. This is going to be another topic, too.
Uh-oh. What's Jay Wood?
So Jay Wood says, please explain to these mofos. No, he didn't say that. He said, please explain to these people that no matter how they feel about Cenk Uygur, he would be an ally in the government.
He would. Look, people have. I did a video where I pointed out. I forgot what happened, but I pointed out that it's like, look, the thing that's taking place right now. Look, he's going to get dinged by this, though. I think he'll be an ally in government, but I think he may have a hard way to go depending on how his person runs. So, whatever you want to think of Uygur.
Okay, feelings aside.
Let's be honest. He may be, to some degree, a creature of the Democratic Party, but he is to the left of what the typical established party is. I have no issue supporting him for that seat. That said, I'm not going to laugh at him on the show and say that. Look, I do think that he'd be a strong voice in Congress.
Edward
So,
Klein,
that's my
why do
thought.
you hate him? Edward Klein says, no, goddamn, he wouldn't. He said,
why
I
don't
hate
you
him.
You can hate him.
That's what I think of him.
You can
so
hate him.
outside of that's like you were like, outside of Creepy Joe, how do you feel about Joe? And it's like, I can't really get past that. So outside of, like.
But sometimes you can. Like, you can have specific issues
This
with
is like
Uygur.
Everett Klein does. He looks like he has some serious issues.
Yeah, you can have specific issues with Uygur. Don't misunderstand me. I can't stand the fact that he supported Clinton. I can't stand the fact that he tilted his network in the way that he tilted his network. He's ran with a conspiracy theory for 3 years and still went with the Putin and Russia stuff. Like, there's all sorts of stuff. The $20 million from Katzenberg, that one's a little different because TYT is a company. That company wants to grow, so that like any other company has to accept investment. It just so happens that's a political company that's on the left that is, suspicious of money in that way. And so the first thing that comes up, Uyghur's own argument, if you're taking the money, you're getting, some kind of relationship between the two. So there's all sorts of things. My only thing with Uyghur is, in this case, is he's running for Congress. And do I believe that he is going to be further to the left than anybody else that takes that seat? The answer is yes. Because I believe that, then my answer is, yeah, why not? He lives there. He can represent his state like anybody else. And if I don't think there's anybody else that's going to be strong in pushing back on that stuff, like anti-war and whatnot. And by the way, this is his theory of the case. This is what fascinates me about this. Uyghur talks so much shit about elections. He's like, oh, I would do this and I'd do that. So I'm almost like fascinated to see if the shit works. Because the catch here is you've been on your show for so many years saying you got to be strong and you got to push back and you got to throw that stuff in their face. Like he's alpha male guy. And so now that you're going to be, the person at the receiving end of getting hit in the face, let's see how you take a punch. And can you take that punch over and over again and still stay where you are? And if you can, he'll do fine. I have no issue with Uyghur running and supporting Uyghur in that race. None.
All right, we have another super chat, I think.
We do? I was trying to get to my story.
Oh well. Jay Wood said these people are why progressives lose.
Who?
Talking about people who won't support Cenk because they don't like him.
Look, you're not going to agree with everybody on every issue. I don't need that, nor can that be the premise, right? I mean, because that's not going to happen. Even you and I disagree. And we are, we tend to be close. That's going to be doubly so for somebody who you don't live with. It's politics. You have various things that you want to get accomplished. What's on the agenda that you want to get accomplished? And does the guy support it? Does he support a Green New Deal? Yes. Does he support a minimum wage of 15? Yes. Does he support Medicare for all? Yes. All of those things are yes. I take issue with him pretending that Warren is somehow akin to Sanders, but ultimately, on the main things, the answer is yes. I don't have an issue with this. I don't see the issue. The United States did airstrikes Sunday. This was the result. This was the aftermath.
The Pentagon says it carried.
Now, we did this supposedly because of one of the contractors was killed in apparent missile barrages. Now, I gotta be honest, I'm not there. I don't know who was responsible for the contractor getting killed. Do I trust entirely the United States answer? No, I do not. And at the end of the day, we are in their country. We struck sites in Syria and Iraq, and if I'm not mistaken, it was 6 sites. 3 sites in Syria and 3 sites in Iraq, but if my computer comes up, I can be more specific. It was a Hezbollah organization, but not Hezbollah in the sense of Lebanon, Hezbollah in the sense of some kind of sect that's in coordination more so with Iran. With a catch. It's under the auspices of the Iraqi government that is supposed to be allied with the United States. Now, Joe Biden needs to be called to account. Bush needs to be called to account. For fuck's sake, we put this government together from scratch. If there's anything wrong, it's on us. We killed 1 million fucking people. Like, it's hard to put that in perspective of what that looks like. And in killing 1 million people, and then creating this thing where you fire everybody from the various organizations in the military and whatnot, support groups like ISIS, by the way. I can show you the documents from the defense, from the DIA, where they were putting money and putting emphasis in the groups like ISIS and whatnot. You've utterly destroyed that region of that globe. And then you say, yeah, we need to invade to fight ISIS now. Now, supposedly, they were invited by the Iraqi government. That's true. They were invited back by the Iraqi government to fight ISIS because at that point, ISIS had taken swaths of Syria and Iraq. The United States has not been welcomed into Syria. They just destroyed, just ignored the sovereignty of Syria. They're ignoring the sovereignty by stealing the oil Now, the U.S. military said the precision defensive strikes, I love that, were conducted against 5 sites of Kataib Hezbollah or Hezbollah brigades in Iraq and Syria. The group, which is separate from the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah, operates under the umbrella of state-sanctioned militias known collectively as a popular mobilization force. Many of them are supported by Iran. Now think about what this means for the moment. The group that the United States attacked, it didn't give Iraq heads up, or they gave it to them just moments and Iraq told them, no, don't do it. They completely ignored Iraqi sovereignty. Even before this took place, by the way, Trump makes a trip to Iraq. He doesn't tell anybody, he just does so. The mobs at that point had said, the United States has to leave. The lawmakers were like, he has to leave. The president, or the prime minister, whichever one it is, told the United States, called it off. Now, these guys and this military that they attacked were part of the Iraqi military. Now, understand they're calling them militants and everything else, but they were of the Iraqi government. The United States invaded Iraq, bombs, airstrikes on sovereign territory, a government that the United States itself was supposed to be allies with, killing 25 people in that strike. Many of those people, and most of those people, were Iraqis, not Iranians. So, of course, you've just ignored the sovereignty of a nation after killing 1 million people in that nation. Now, why do you think that nation, to some degree, in a degree, likes you? Think about what that means for the moment. You've invaded my country. You said we had nuclear weapons. We didn't have nuclear weapons. You've killed 1 million of our people, men, women, children, and hostile, tortured various members of our community, kicking down doors, flagrantly ignoring. Because whatever you want to think of the military, meaning you think these are the greatest people on the planet, you've put them in a situation where they have absolute power over other people with a weapon in their hand, with very little oversight in regards to the way that they're going and engaging with affairs, and you've sent them into a country where they are hostile, meaning they think everybody's out to get them. Like, whatever you want to think, atrocities are going to happen. Just by definition, they're going to happen. It's a known quantity. The moment that you send a military into somebody else's country, on the best of occasions, and this was not the best of occasions,
Right.
we destroyed everything. We destroyed the waterways. We bombed oil fields. Something that was supposedly be a war crime, by the way, the oil field stuff. We decimated the population. Everybody always wants to talk about civilian strikes. Oh, we shouldn't bomb civilian centers. But bombing civilian centers, whether you realize it or not, is par for the course, especially if you're in a war and you're trying to make the society suffer. Look back at World War II and the way that Britain and Germany and the United States were in these terror bombing campaigns, especially the standpoint of Japan. My only point is this. If you kill 1 million people in a country, there will be consequences. Those people are not going to love you. You're not going to be saviors. Ultimately, you made their lives exponentially more miserable. The fact that you are doing bombing campaigns in a country that you supposedly set up from scratch, left, then came back because of a terrorist issue. This is protests that initially started off as mourners breaking into the embassy in Baghdad. This is what's taking place today. The security personnel who's supposed to be watching this base were Iraqis. They didn't do squat.
Of course not.
They didn't do squat. Now, why? Tell me, why? If you lived in Iraq, and let's say you were, let's say 30 years old, and you're working in the military in Iraq, you are old enough to remember either a family member, a dad, a brother, a sister, a cousin, being killed in what the United States did, why would you help them? Why would you do anything to protect that place?
Yeah.
You wouldn't. You just wouldn't. Why would you? Now, also, considering what we did to the embassy here from the standpoint of Venezuela, don't tell me about international law. Don't bring up international law to me. We flagrantly ignore international law. This is an absolute and infinitely foreseeable response. And by the way, a rational response. The sovereignty of your country has just been trespassed. Literally, in real terms. They killed 27 people, most of which were Iraqis, not Iranians. And they did this in Iraq and Syria. This is a provocation. The president, pretty much everybody has condemned this. And Iran has given their blessing for whatever you need to do in response and retaliation of what the United States did. You have our blessing for it. The United States is being provocative. It's not so much that I love the rockets fired on the base, but your base shouldn't be there. How can you say you're doing a defensive strike in Iraq?
Yeah.
You're in somebody else's country. How is it defensive anything? We're defending our ability to steal this oil, or we're defending our ability to stay in a country at this point that doesn't want us. I mean, for fuck's sake. And believe it or not, Iraq is in a rock and a hard place. Iran, it's unclear on whether or not the Iraqi government has complete control of those military organizations, especially since some of them are aligned loosely with Iran. There's also this other added problem that anything that group does, now the United States is going to do like it was doing in Yemen. Like, anything that the Houthis does is literally the Iranians. And so anything this group does is literally the Iranians. They're looking for pretexts and whatnot in order to, push Trump's hand on this stuff or to entice Iran to respond. I think it might even be a little bit worse than that. A lot of the people who are in the White House are racist. Now, I say this not because they're racist, maybe against blacks or anything else. They have an American perspective of the world and of foreign policy. If the U.S. tells you to do something, just do it. Think about how we were doing Kim Jong-un, where we were like, yeah, we need you to, just capitulate and then we can negotiate. And it's like, Are you being serious? You're being serious? We never look at it from the perspective of the other individual that is a individual that has a self-esteem and a dignity about itself, just like you do. And your perspective of yourself is not shared. Meaning your perspective of yourself as being better is not shared with the individual that you're talking to. Meaning your ability to negotiate, it's not negotiation. You just want capitulation. There's differences in those things. That's us. That's the way we go about our foreign policy. So in this case, it's very possible that Trump is like, they're not going to do anything else now. They're not going to respond. We're going to be able to do these airstrikes into sovereign territory of Iraq, a country we're supposed to be in alignment with, and into Syria, and there will be no response from anybody. It's possible that he is stupid enough to believe that. And that's the terrifying one. Meaning, it's one thing if he's trying to provoke Iran. And people are like, he's trying to provoke. And I'm like, how do you know Trump is smart enough to do that? How do you know that in his mind it's not, we'll do this and they're going to accept our will. Yeah, they're going to fall in line. They're not going to fall in line. There will be a response. There will be a response. It is rational for there to be a response. Media is going to talk about this from an American perspective and drop American context. Don't. Just don't.
All right. We have a couple more, but
Go for it.
I'm gonna go.
Just read the couple more and we can call it a day. I see your powers are wavering.
It's hot in here.
It's hot, baby. That's just me standing here. Or sitting here. That's all.
Okay.
That's all that is.
I think I tweeted you something.
Did you? When?
I'm not
Today?
a good tweeter.
This was today.
But this was from Renee Tudyk. Yeah, just like maybe 15 minutes ago. Said, with hypersonic warheads now being deployed by the Russian military.
27 times the speed of
Jesus.
sound.
Come on, bro.
Sorry.
With hypersonic warheads now being deployed by the Russian military that are claimed to reach speeds of Mach 27, there are no defense systems that can intercept them. Does this make every aircraft carrier fleet that America rely on when spreading democracy around the world obsolete when confronting Russian allies?
No. Look, Russia is trying to balance the scales. I mean, that's basically what this is about. Any war between Russia and the United States is effectively a nuclear war. Any side that begins to lose is going to get more and more, over the top in regards to trying to preserve their country. I don't think Russia is looking at this offensively. I think they're looking at this in a defensive capacity. It's unclear on the capabilities of it, meaning whether it does what they said it does. But assuming that it does do what they said it does, it is a defensive weapon. Don't fuck with us. You can't, stop us when we attack you. Also, with the limelight that this has been giving, like, this is not a secret weapon that they're keeping in case of times where they're making very clear, meaning they're trying to be very clear. I mean, they just had military exercises with China and Iran, all three nations. And China and Russia have a military contract with one another. They've been very clear, an attack on one is an attack on both. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean China shares all of the information, but it does mean that they look at themselves as being, we're in a foxhole, the United States is a superpower, and it's trying to fuck with us. It doesn't make it obsolete. I mean, ultimately, you have all of these NATO countries that, for the most part, have put a ring around Russia. Russia is in a mindset of, how do we balance the scales? You've been putting missile systems all around our country. You've made us less safe. You told us you weren't going to expand NATO, and you continue to expand NATO. What's fucked up about it is, think of all the money that goes into developing these weapons. Think about that. Like, a country could come together and they could say, let's have a missile treaty. Russia and the US, the United States. Great. If you can come together and agree on a missile treaty, why can't you agree further? Like it seems like in the way that we go about our way in society, we say, I won't attack you, you don't attack me, and let's just agree on that front. And yet, on international grounds, that's never the case.
So much.
Yeah. And even when you say, okay, we're going to have missile treaties, and we're going to cut down the number of missiles that we have, it's like, okay. But why? The catch here is differential advantage. No country wants to give up differential advantage. And ultimately, at the end of the day, look, if I was prime minister or president, I wouldn't give up my nuclear weapons either. I just wouldn't. I mean, if I'm being honest with you, preservation of the Union is the catch. The catch becomes, will people use them? Is there a situation where nuclear weapons will ever be used? Now, they've been experimenting with low-yield nuclear weapons. Have you seen these? Like, where they're talking about, like, these, like, nuclear weapons, but mini nukes. And they're like, maybe this is a practical way for us to use nuclear weapons. As if the other countries also wouldn't find their practical uses of nuclear weapons. The United States has been wasting money in wars for the last 20 years. Russia and China have been investing in hypersonic research. And so now they're saying the U.S. needs to catch up and that type of stuff and so forth. Look, it doesn't make it obsolete. I don't even know if this changes anything at all outside of Russia being optically more capable in dealing with threats. But from the standpoint of a war, I mean, if you're talking about a nuclear launch on both sides, we're fucked. I mean, I don't know a way out of that war. All
right, we have.
That's the only reason I don't think it changes anything. Like what? I mean, it changes in the sense that they have weapons now that potentially are unhittable. I said it that way. But there was always going to be a situation where each side was going to get hit. For them, it's this thing of, we at the very least have the capacity to hit if we're hit back. It's this thing of, in their heads, a balancing act. They're trying to balance the scales in regards to the capabilities against them. Think back to the war with the First World War. Before the First World War, actually. Germany and Britain. Britain has one of the largest navies in the world. I mean, that's the way, for the most part, they secure their islands, like the Iron Fleet. Hell, you can even say Lord of Game of Thrones, the Iron Fleet, that type of stuff. But essentially, that was their shield. That was allowed them to protect their commerce routes, their colonies, etc., etc. Well, Germany starts to have a navy. Now, what does Britain think about this? Just if it was you. All right, I see that Navy over there, but don't fuck around. And then Germany's Navy gets big. And then Britain says, okay, now we need more because we need to be able to hold off the threat of Germany. And then Germany gets more because they want to rival and so now they have this weapons race where just on the momentum of it alone, they're building more and more ships. And then finally it's like, look. This is expensive. Can we just not do this?
Yeah.
And can we come to some agreement and amount of ship power? Like, at some point, you would think cooler heads will prevail and be like, you know what? It's expensive to do this. Can we just not do this and just save money?
Let's put more money into it. All right.
Yeah.
Super chat, because I'm going to bed. Gary Curtis, thank you for the super chat. On the previous topic, he said, no such thing as international law. Total BS.
I keep saying that. That's true.
In line with that, Amy Matura, thank you for the super chat. Amy says there are no measurable consequences, Jamal.
Yes.
War crimes, check. Money, check. Who cares if foreigners hate us?
Yes.
Check. Okay.
I showed you the article where the Clinton administration sold out the United States to China and then got a kick back from a campaign donation of hundreds of dollars. Oh, that's some shit, man. China's military capabilities. Yeah, China's military capabilities were greatly enhanced under the Clinton administration. Clinton and the Democratic Party were getting money behind the table based on regulations that they made. Now, after the fact, they were like, whoa, we didn't know that we were getting, paid under the table by the Chinese intelligence. We didn't know that. We gave the money back. We didn't know, Doug.
Oh, we're a couple minutes late, but Happy New Year to people in the other mid-region.
Oh, that's right.
Brandon Adams says, cannabis is recreational in Illinois. Happy New Year. Sorry, we should have done a countdown on this hour too. We failed. We'll be better for next year.
It's funny. The pot stocks jumped today. Did you see that?
Negative.
So pot stocks have been getting brutalized this year. Crushed. Utterly crushed. And today, they went through the roof. You know why? Illinois. They believe Illinois is going to be legal weed this year. And so they were celebrating such. The catch becomes, if Sanders, and you know what? If any Democrat wins, to be honest, pot is probably going to be legalized in the United States. Except Joe Biden. It has to be somebody other than Joe Biden. But if it's Warren or Sanders, the catch is I don't think Warren can beat Trump. So.
Last question.
Go for it.
And I'm out. RBU83145, thank you for the super chat. RBU says, what do you do to remain sane in an insane world?
The world is not insane. It's just not. It's a logical thing. It's what we're calling insane is fucked up behaviors. What we consider to be fucked up behaviors, like a person dying on the street because they're cold. Like in the UK, there was a lot of people dying on the streets. If there were people hungry or sleeping on the streets on New Year's, well, that's a fucked up system, but it's not insane. I mean, ultimately, you've allowed people to have this kind of individualized life where you can, in a societal standpoint, say, well, that's not my fault. I didn't do that. And so it's blame from a distance of sorts. It doesn't make sense. It's like it's impersonal. It's this kind of impersonal distance from the other person. So yes, the person is on the streets, but because we have individualized professions, that's somebody else's job to ensure that that person is not on the streets. And some people even take the thing, well, that person wasn't worthy enough. He should have worked harder. He should have did this and that. We justify the way our society is, but it's not insane. I mean, you have a capitalistic system. I mean, for fuck's sake, this is the world you get. It's not, it's not magic. I mean, think about Bolivia for the moment. A country that was thriving based on the president that they had in that country. And they wanted the lithium that he wasn't going to allow them to get their hands on. They hated the fact that he essentially embarrassed Trump at the UN when he gave that speech, decrying America and its war crimes and its terrorism around the world. And the opposition, for the most part, realized that the U.S. was entirely on board for changing house in the various countries. They saw what they were doing in Venezuela, and they saw, even from the standpoint of Ukraine, they're looking at this like, this is our opportunity. They sent the letter to the OAS. Hey, could you please intervene, stop him from winning again? Like, the various people in the country, the oligarchs, combined with the fascists in order to get him out. Essentially, the oligarchs were losing money with him in because he was able to reduce poverty, increase the number of doctors, Like, he reduced poverty almost by half. Like, the numbers in that country were stellar in regards to what he was doing. But that's from a perspective of somebody who cares about human development. If you care about cash, I can't get my dollars. And the privatization of the natural gas, he was using that in order to increase, what is it, literacy, health. I mean, across the board, the man, by all measure, was a success. And they didn't care. Him being a success didn't matter. Like, this is kind of my point. It's based on natural incentives.
Yeah.
If you are amoral and you just have objectives that you want to accomplish, and you look at this world and say, I have free choice. I can do whatever I want. Now, I will use language that people can identify, talk to people where they are. So I may use religious language. I may use racial language. I may play basketball. I may sing Al Green. I might go and release a military guy that was convicted for war crimes because my base is going to think it's awesome. Like, you might do all of those things, but you may actually be amoral. You may have things that you care about, but ultimately the system itself may have you various straps. If you look at the world in those terms, and not in terms of like right and wrong and everything else, you can do whatever the fuck you want, and your conscience will be clean. You could say, I think it would be better if Assad is gone, so I'm going to fund terrorists and head choppers in order to destabilize that country so I can have a justifiable reason in going and invading. You could say that. And then the very next day, you can go and croon Al Green, and people will forgive you for doing just that. How sadistic you are doesn't factor into the way people perceive you. You don't believe me? Look at Obama. Look at Clinton. Madeleine Albright killed 500,000 kids with the sanctions that she put on. She didn't have to put those sanctions on. She put those sanctions on. And when asked about it, she says that it was necessary. Didn't stop Anna Kasparin from 11 her up.
Yeah.
Media treats these people as, like, it's amazing the way media acts in this. You can have somebody like George Bush, who literally invaded a country, admitted to torture, spent $7 trillion to do it, killed 4,000 Americans, killed 1 million Iraqis, was a result of a war going for the last 18 years, has a gulag off the coast that is outside of our laws that the President, Obama, even he had a difficult time trying to close. And he can go somewhere today and media will act as if he's President Bush. Like, that's extraordinary to me. It's as if the choices that they make in no way mars the way media sees them. And that's the most bizarre thing in the world to me. The guy's a war criminal. And this thing that's taking place in Iraq now is a big... I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to let you talk because I'm talking too much.
Okay, good night. Amy Mature says, no international law, no constitution, Jamal. Happy New Year, Jamal.
There is no international law. She's right.
If you're leaving,
not to mention who's going to defend it. Who's going to police the police.
If you're leaving it to me, I'm going to say good night. Happy New Year.
We got all the switch hits?
Yes. There are some people who have not brought in the new year yet because it is not midnight in their location.
Oh, really? That's right,
so
California.
You have the opportunity to rewind this.
I am going to say
and
happy,
play back the countdown.
It's not belated New Year's. What is it called? Pre-New Year's or happy
early New
Happy
Year.
early New
Pre-New
Year's.
Year's.
Happy early New Year's for the people in California and some of these other places that haven't necessarily celebrated New Year's yet. I hope you guys have an amazing year. This year is going to get extremely busy, really fast. The dry runs on the show start January 20th. It's 20th, right? I think it's 20th.
And he's referring to his new show.
And that's the new show that's going to be on Sputnik.
From 12 to 2, Monday through Friday.
Yep, Monday through Friday, 12 to 2, January 21st.
22nd.
It's 22nd or 1st?
It's the 22nd.
Okay. January 22nd is going to be where the first dry runs start. I'm going to try to get the dry runs on camera also. All of the shows that I have on the radio are going to be done live through my channel also. So every day from 12 to 2, you're going to see content. You're going to have content. High quality, actually, because they're going to use the thing.
And work some more. Yeah.
And then I'm going to come home and do the news further. So
you're still going to get the same thing that you've been getting, but extra.
You're going to get more. You're going to get more. So things are going to get busy in the New Year's. That's to put it mildly. And if I'm being honest, I honestly think I'm going to take a vacation just before I start.
Oh, happy new decade too.
Yeah, happy new decade.
All right, I'm hot.
On the 8th through the 14th.
All right, I'm gonna let you close out.
Really?
Yeah.
It's just like a minute. You've done like an hour.
It's not gonna be a minute. I'm hot, and you're talking about vacation.
Put a timer on it. Put a timer on it. Put a timer on it.
That's not the words to the song that you're thinking.
What song am I thinking?
Put a ring on it.
Nope.
Either way, there is no song that says "put a timer on it."
You don't know that, man. There are billions
You're
of
talking
songs
about maybe
and
going on
billions of
vacation.
languages.
I could have been
No,
gone
I
already.
get. Look, yeah. Next month is going to get busy, or next year, I should say, is going to get busy. We're going to be in a different zip code. This year has brought a lot of changes, to put it mildly. But it should be a good one, and if everything can,
Yes, Lisa.
be kept together, it should be a good year. Ups and downs, and a definitive year. We were going to know who our president is this year.
It happens once every 4 years. All right, come on. It's hot. You sweating?
Yeah, but this is the first time
It's fucking
where
hot.
it's in our lifetime.
Why is it so hot in here today?
I don't know. I mean, the
Even
air
the fan is
conditioner's
going.
on.
I can't take it. I gotta go.
Okay.
Chubby too.
Guys, you all have a happy new year.
Thanks for bringing it in with us.
Thank you for your support of this show. And I really do appreciate you guys bringing it in with us. And honestly, I really do appreciate your support of the show. The show is impossible to do without your support. I mean, at this point, YouTube is a dicey actor at this point and is uncertain territory. But honestly, thank you. Anything else to say, babe?
What was that?
It came out wrong.
Your thumb's supposed to be out too.
No, it's not.
It's supposed to be like this.
It's like this.
You was like this.
Where's Spock? I have Spock
It's
in
supposed
here
to be
somewhere.
like
Where's my
this,
Spock?
bro.
Where's my Spock, though? All right. Fair enough. It's one of these.
That's a shame.
It's one of these.
Yeah, I'm tired.
It's
I'm tired,
alright.
babe. I don't want to bring your show down.
It's all right. I think it's...
Google it.
I don't know which one it is. Fuck, man. You made a decision point.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Have a good evening, guys.
Happy New Year.
Share, subscribe, and have an awesome, awesome fucking New Year.
Ciao.
Thanks all.